Hey, how's it going? Adrienne Elise here. Just thought I would pop in and talk to you about what's going on in the planets and the stars. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for February 22nd through 26th, 2019. So, what's happening today and tomorrow as we move into this next week or so of energies is that Mercury is coming into its first square with Jupiter as it begins to take this retrograde cycle. Now, the Mercury retrograde doesn't start until March 6th, but we're already feeling this energy because it's gone into its retrograde shadow. This is an intense and powerful Mercury retrograde because it makes so many angular relationships with so many planets and the planets that are the big players in the 2019 astrology. So right now it's coming into this square with Jupiter. Now Jupiter in Sagittarius is expansive and at home in Sagittarius, and it wants to get on the path. It wants to feel life and zest and be on the search and, back on, feel this bigger meaning to life. But Mercury in Pisces is confused. Okay. And it's interesting that Mercury is in Pisces and it goes right now. We've had Chiron move into Aries, which is a huge shift, but it's almost like we can't really get into that energy until we get through this Mercury retrograde, because Mercury 29 degrees of Pisces and then goes into its retrograde. So it's informing us about the Piscean age. It's informing us about Chiron in Pisces. And so we're kind of suspended again, in this feeling we've been feeling for so long in between the old and the new. So when Mercury coming into the square with Jupiter is saying, what's in the way of this dreams and visions, or, this destiny of what you want in your life. And, a lot of people, what's coming up for people personally seems to be like a frustration and confusion about what they really want, and feeling like things aren't ever going to change and it's not possible. Right? This tension, squares always bring like a tension. And so it's like, what needs to change? But, coming up into that corner, it has this energy of like, it's impossible and I could never live my dreams. So I might as well just go back. And the deal with Pisces is it does have a lot of energy of escapism and wanting to just kind of ignore what's going on. And so we're kind of like, oh, I really want to live finally and get back on my quest that I've been, maybe thwarted over many lifetimes. And then Mercury in Pisces says, oh, it's okay, just go watch some more TV or, whatever, and, just get through this day. And it's just this thing of like, how much longer do we need to live not living, And it's frustrating because it's like, oh yeah, Jupiter and Sagittarius, let's expand into this energy. Let's claim back this zest for life, right? And yet it's like, no, you're not ready. You can't go there. No. So let's talk about this. Why aren't we ready? Like, why can't we shift and change our life? And that's what's coming up right now. And Mercury's trying to help us understand about the belief systems and patterns that are holding us in the old energy. Right. And so, Mercury is in Pisces retrograde is like going to be schooling us up. And schooling us up to the reality of, and also the reality of what is in the way of that moving into this new energy, this new chapter, because you can kind of feel it. It's out there. It's like a dangling carrot, it's been going on for so long. It's like, oh, well, there's a new future, a new energy out here for you, just wait a little longer, just work a little harder, just focus a little more, and right now with this Mercury is in retrograde shadow square Jupiter, it's like, oh no, it's never going to happen. Just forget you even ever wanted to, fulfill your destiny. Right? So, but Mercury is also making a sextile. So there's so much happening right now. It's crazy because Venus is in conjunction with Pluto, coming into its conjunction with Pluto. And that's exact tomorrow on the 23rd. And so Venus and Pluto is talking about female power. And we talked about how Venus had come into the conjunction with Saturn. And it's like Venus is sitting down at the council table here talking about this whole astrology of this time and moving into the 2020 astrology. And it's really powerful because Saturn and Pluto are getting closer, right? They're not going to come into an actual conjunction, but they get very close. And Venus has been bouncing up in between, right? So it's just had that powerful conjunction with Saturn, sitting down at the council table. What is the role of the feminine in our reality, the breakdown of the reality that we need to see? And now, it had a lot of energy of like justice for the feminine inside of us, and justice for the female and general energies on the planet. And now Venus is in conjunction with Pluto, and Pluto is about power, and it's about destruction and transformation. And so we're looking at Venus is weighing in on what needs to be broken down and destroyed in Capricorn, the structures of our life. And so we're looking at our belief systems around whether we deserve and what we really want. A lot of things that came up and we're dealing with in that Mercury and the Venus retrograde that happened in Scorpio we felt that October, November, December. And that energy is coming up right now for people because Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And so we're kind of going, okay, did you address these things? Like, did you address your low self-worth? Did you address the fact that see, this is where we're at right now. Because it's like we're talking about our dreams and destiny, but we can't talk about our dreams and destiny until we feel like we actually deserve it. And this is the disempowered feminine. And Venus coming up with Pluto, with all this other stuff going on right now, is about the feminine in all of us trying to stand up and take our power back. And it's funny because you're just like, okay, well, feminine power. And what comes to mind? It comes to mind like women in leadership positions, and maybe an idea of like this social conceptual idea we have of the feminine being emotionally manipulative as a way to use power. And it's like, but that's all male energy, right? It has nothing to do with female power. And so when we talk about it, it's like, okay, well, what is female power or feminine power? Because we all have masculine and feminine within us, right? So we're not talking just women. It's, it's a planetary balance that needs to be healed, right? Between the male and the female energies, and healing these energies within our own body and our own psyche, in our own brain, the right and left brain, brings us back to oneness consciousness, allows us to move forward in our spiritual evolution. So, but when we talk about female power, it's like, what? Female power? Do those even go together? Because, female means weak, right? And ineffective and small and no voice, right? And these are more social conceptions that we've been programmed into. And it's actually like female power is, maybe it's hard to recognize it or understand the concept because of all this programming, because female power is invisible and it's about the intuition, and in the picture that comes to mind that really best describes this feminine power is like the elder women of the tribe visioning, praying, using their intuition and that is like way better protection than like a periphery of warriors, right? Like it's like, and but we're stuck in this place of that the only power in this world, because we're trapped in this narrow concept that this physical world is all that exists, our physical manifested reality, right? And so in that physical manifested reality, it's brute strength and guns and that has the power. And so we have to completely rearrange our thinking. Now, personally for us right now, it's about standing up for ourselves and standing up for that feminine, disempowered part of all of us, right? And that's associated with our emotions, our intuition, our compassion, and our peace. And these things have very little value in this world, right? But the North Node in Cancer is like, yeah, but until we value these things, until we understand that we are nothing without nurturing, we are nothing without our beautiful planet to live on. We are nothing without a strength of putting ourselves back together into whole pieces, where because of this fragmented, societal, the way we've all been raised in conditional love, and there's very few people that actually feel nurtured by their parents, or nurtured by this world, or nurtured by life, or and it's like, how can we go forward? How can we both be whole and complete? How can we step onto our true spiritual path and claim back our mission and our purpose and our zest for life if we don't think we deserve it? Right? If we haven't been nurtured into wholeness. And so it's interesting because, Mercury is just like, Mercury's on overtime right now, an overload probably, right? And so in Pisces, it's like Mercury's doing all these angular relationships, but at the same time it's in Pisces, so it's like it's not making any sense, so I don't think it's a potent and powerful time to shift our reality and our consciousness right now with this Mercury retrograde, but it's not going to make sense until after, right? Like when it moves into Aries, I think that's when we're going to be like, oh, that's what this last couple of months has been about, right? So it doesn't happen until April. And but Mercury right now is coming into the square with Jupiter. That happens exact on the 23rd as well. And then sextile with Venus and Pluto together, and sextiles are energies of like creative solutions, right? So it's like the creative solution we need to move out of the dark ages of the Piscean age is to reclaim our power back around our feminine side of ourselves. And, that's what Venus is in council with Pluto right now. And, it's also though our self-worth and our belief systems around whether or not we deserve. And we're kind of coming to a head with all of this stuff. And that's why all that stuff from the Venus retrograde is coming up now for people. But Mercury is also in a trine with the North Node in Cancer. So that, and then Venus is in an opposition with the North Node, which means it's conjunct the South Node coming up in the next couple of days, coming up with a South Node. And so, wow, and so Venus and Pluto is not quite opposite the North Node or in the South Node it's still a few degrees away, but Venus is visiting Pluto and then heading into this opposite or conjunction with the South Node. And the South Node is always about our past karma, what's keeping us from moving forward. Guess what? South Node in Capricorn, right? So it's this patriarchal structures of our world and the devaluing of the feminine and the wholeness and the spirituality and the intuition and the empathy and the emotions that have been keeping us from moving forward. And so it's like Pluto and Venus together want to destroy the patriarchy. And Venus is saying, hey, this is what we need to do, right? And it's kind of like there's some negotiations happening, right? It's like maybe we're all in this weird negotiating place. We don't know what we really want. We don't know what we're negotiating for, but we sure are in this process in our inner quandary right now. So just so much going on with Mercury in square with Jupiter, sextile with Pluto and Venus, and trying to the North Node, so 4 elements that are very crucial for this 2019 astrology. And they're all Mercury's being, just after it moves into its retrograde shadow. And so there's a lot of messages here for us. But Mercury in trine to the North Node in Cancer is very harmonious. And it's saying that we can do this, we can do this. We gotta change our thinking. Okay, because Mercury's on center stage right now. And we have to change our thinking about the Piscean age, where spiritual connection was absconded by the patriarchal energies and used to control humanity. And how were they able to do that? By disempowering, persecuting the feminine, right? And so we've all had male and female lifetimes, right? And we've all experienced a disempowered feminine state, and it kind of is inside of all of us, whether we're male or female right now. And so, we're coming to this place where in order to move into this next chapter, we have to take our power back. And what that really means, in order to really know I mean, we can't, it's just this thing where it's like, okay, yeah, I want that life. I want to feel like I'm living. I want to do what I'm here to do. I want to work with my people. I know it's out there for me, or I thought it was, and now it feels like it's impossible. And it's like, what's keeping it impossible is our idea, our programming, our belief systems that's been programmed into our reality from past life, societal conditioning, family belief systems that says that we don't deserve it, right? And maybe it's like Mercury and Pisces, all this confusion and what's real and stuff. It's like, we're kind of coming up against this thing I've talked about where light worker souls through lifetimes have been kind of gaslit, and convinced that they don't have a spiritual path. It's like, no, you're just here to live. Just keep eating and shitting and dying and living and come back again and do it again, and, all of that belief system is set up so that the control energies can continue to feed on our energy. This is really what's going on, why we can't actualize into what we're here to do. We have this low self-worth. We have given our power away through powerful contractual arrangements over lifetimes that says we can't handle our own power, right? Because when we really talk about feminine power, we're talking about, we could look at, we're talking about the mountain. We're talking about receptivity. We're talking about our intuition, our compassion, our love, and the power of those things, but we're also talking about sexual energy, because sexual energy and the life force energy is more accessible just by definition, just by, biological fact in the female body, right? Because the female body creates life. And so this energy, this pure energy that's actually been called, the feminine, that's been called the whore and the slut, and that's demonized the sexual energy, right? But when we go way back in time, the pictures that I've seen is that when we did have matriarchal societies, they were, there was the sexual energy was used to create harmony, to create the right weather, to create electricity. And this is like the essential power of the universe, right? The electricity we use right now, pushed through wires, is actual male form of electricity. There's a female form of electricity that's everywhere, right? This is free energy. This is perpetual motion. This is the true power, right? And as long as the powers that be keep us from accessing or feeling permission or in fear of this power, then they can use that energy for the world they want to create, and it's like this. So everything right now is saying we have got to stand up, take our power back, and create the world we want to create. And that is your dreams and visions, right? So just know that they're being challenged right now, because what's being challenged is the programming, what's coming as deep subconscious programming around whether or not you deserve that path. And across the board, lightworker indigo souls have this huge desire to do something, and they don't even know what it is, but they feel like they're here for a reason, right? And it's like, we wouldn't all have that feeling if it wasn't true. And yet we're kept in this, such a powerless place from this programming, right? So we have to uncover this deep subconscious programming of why we don't think we deserve or can handle, right? So a lot of what's coming up with this Venus Pluto conjunction is like, oh yeah, that powerful sexual creative energy that creates worlds, you can't handle that. You'll probably blow up the planet, right? Like, and it's like, no, we're going to actually claim this back and use it to create the world that we want to see here, because it's time. We've had enough of playing these silly games of pretending that we're not powerful. We don't have any access to power, pretending that we need some sort of authoritarian energy outside of ourselves to say whether we can access our own God-given, innate, by birthright power of consciousness that's in our body, right? It's like game over. But this is what needs to get all sorted out on a deep subconscious level. And so personally, what's coming up is all of those self-worth issues and deep psychic pain and shadowy stuff that was like coming up in that Venus retrograde, and it's standing right there in the way in front of you of feeling like there's any possibility of living your dreams, right? And just remember, it's darkest right before the dawn. The control energies have such a stranglehold on our consciousness right now, and it's kind of like trying to hold it from this evolution, trying to keep it from rising, but one by one, these light worker souls are coming into, the reality. This is Mercury and Pisces. It's like, whoa, it's very confusing, and what's real. But underneath, through the process, it's to figure out, we are actually being given, we're going into the massive confusion, but it's to figure out more clarity about the lies we've been told, and so that energy of the Capricorn energy, of the authority energy, that was really in play in the Piscean age, because it was like, take this oneness consciousness, this desire to feel together, the desire to feel God, this desire to follow a leader, used through patriarchal forces to control humanity and actually cut them off from their source, right? So the end of the Piscean age, and we have to claim back our connection to source. And Mercury's trying to help us do that, but it feels really confusing and really impossible. But that's just part of the journey right now. And you need to kind of sit tight, go through the process, look at the shadowy stuff, find these belief systems, be open to the reprogramming, and look again at this quest and potential of this lifetime for yourself, as we get through this Mercury retrograde. So thank you so much for joining me and being on the path and the journey and showing up and doing what, just existing with everything you've gone through as a soul, to be able to be here, right now. It's deeply, deeply honored and appreciated, and just so much love to you from the cosmos. The messages coming through of, again, like, just so much gratitude for the souls that are here right now, holding the light in the darkest times. So thank you so much for being here on the journey, and I look forward to next time. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.